Welcome back to My Comic Life, folks. That's right, My Comic Life. You already know we are your one stop podcast for all things geek, nerd, movies, video games, pop culture. If you're into that, stop. We are the podcast for you, and we are thrilled you're here and listening to us. I am Sam. Joining me each week in the My Comic Life studio, folks. Well, I found out tonight he is the tailor behind all the Spider-Man costumes across all dimensions. I don't know how he delivers them, but if you see a Spider-Man costume that you've liked in the comic books in the last 15 years or in the movies, it's all thanks to this man, Alex. Say hello to the folks out there, Alex.
My number one rule is no capes.
No
No
capes.
capes. No capes. Exactly. You beautiful people listening out there in podcast land, how have you guys been? We took I think a little bit of a break last week, Sam.
Yeah, just a short break there. Just coming back off of Thanksgiving. I was still so full of turkey and pumpkin pie, and yeah, just needed a little bit more time to recover from that. Speaking of, did you have a good Thanksgiving, Alex?
I absolutely did. I went to work. It was really quiet. It was like me and a security guard there, so it was nice, a nice little kind of getaway. And then when I got off work, I stuffed my face until I fell into a food coma. It was a lot of fun. It was a good time, man. So what's your real quick question? What's the top Thanksgiving food for in the Sam household?
Oh man, top Thanksgiving food would have been my grandmother's stuffing. I know everyone says their grandmother makes the best stuffing, but hands down, my grandmother makes the best stuffing. And man, let me tell you, she makes one pan of it, and like it's gone. Like it doesn't even make it to like day two, or like if it does, there's like a little square left in like a pan, and we're all fighting for it. But yeah, what's the number one food in or number one Thanksgiving food in your house there, Alex?
Well, this might be. I mean, a lot of people up north don't know that they serve this at Thanksgiving, but you're supposed to. Here in the South, man, we have mac and cheese, and it is always just banging. Oh man, it's so good. Like your grandmother's stuffing, which I'm sure is amazing. The mac and cheese does not last very long. It's kind of one of those like they have like this Hunger Games type of face off for it, and you kind of got to get your scoop while you can because there's no seconds when it comes to that mac and cheese.
Awesome, awesome. Well, rolling from the Thanksgiving dining room table and in to the Marvel verse, of course, like I said, we are thinking about changing our name to the Marvelous My Comic Life because, man, Marvel keeps rolling out the hits. This week, we're taking you across the Spider Verse. That's right, Sony Pictures dropped a first look at Spider Man Across the Spider Verse Part 1 due to release in just 10 short months. Miles Morales returns to the next chapter of the Oscar winning Spider Verse saga, an epic adventure that will transport Brooklyn's full time friendly neighborhood Spider Man across the multiverse to join forces with Gwen Stacy and a new team of Spider People to face off with a villain more powerful than anything they've encountered. Alex, right out of the gate here, what did you think of the first look at the movie that doesn't come out for nearly a year?
I mean, as much as I loved the first movie, and as much as I love this whole, um, I guess this whole version of Spider-Man and everything, they, in my opinion, they didn't really need to release this. I know Spider-Man's hot right now, and all the stars are being interviewed, and all the villains are having their sit downs, and the toys are being pushed, and the tickets are being sold. But this one, I mean, almost a year. Come on now, man. That's. I mean, you announce a video game a year, with a year's time, but not a movie. It's kind of, I don't know. It's a little bit too much for me. I think that it's kind of a because you don't know where we'll be in a year, man. This we could be in like into the 23rd, you know, um, whatever variant of this damn coronavirus, and we could all be shut back down and back in quarantine. So I don't know. I don't see the point in kind of announcing movies, um, this way with such great detail. And I'll tell you, kind of like the main thing that kind of that annoyed me with this is because with this first look, it kind of looks like they're done with the movie, and it's like, if you are done, why are you sitting on it for 10 months? Just let me watch it. Maybe if they gave us that kind of like a real first look at it, and they sent it to the My Comic Life Studios, I definitely changed my tune. So we are listening, Sony. We can be bought. So I could. So next week, guys, if I change my tune, and if I'm all of a sudden like, oh, I can't wait to see the Spider-Verse, the check cleared for sure. But Sam, what do you think about waiting for almost a full year for a movie?
Well, first of all, yeah, let me piggyback on you there, or ride your coattails. Yes, Sony, we are not above nepotism here. We would love to tout how great this next Spider-Man movie is going to be. So yeah, if you want to send us a print or a digital copy, we will happily screen it in the My Comic Life studio and give our thoughts on it. Which, I mean, it already looks amazing. So we're going to say great things about it. Yeah, it's a little weird, I could see you needing to hype an unknown movie like a year out, like coming in a year, like a film that you've never heard of. But Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, as you say, it did awesome at the box office. It won an Oscar. People know about this. The hype is already built. This is just, man, yeah, this is just bad making us wait nearly a year. Start giving me teaser trailers 6 to 8 months out, not nearly a year out. Because, I mean, it's just torturous because, like, I already want to see more based off this trailer, and I'm not going to be able to see more for a good long while. There was no need to drop it this early, Sony. I mean, it's cool that you did, and it was cool, to see Miles and Gwen again. But yeah, no, just you dropped it too early for my taste. Alex, what did you think of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the first movie here?
Man, I absolutely loved it. Like, it was just start to finish, perfect movie. One of my favorite movies of all time, let alone a Marvel movie or even a superhero movie. It's just one of my favorite movies of all time. The music is great, the art was great. Everybody did amazing with their voice acting. It was just like I said. It was one of those movies where it came at the right time. I remember I picked up a couple of pizzas and I sat down with my. I did not watch this in the theaters. I picked up a couple of pizzas and we sat down in my living room and watched it on the big TV with my two girls and my young son, who was like, he was less than a year old at the time. And the girls are sitting there and they're loving the movie, and I'm sitting there and I'm just crying buckets because I love Spider-Man so damn much. And so it was a good time, and the movie was fantastic. What about you, Sam? What do you think of the first one?
I went and saw it in theaters. I thought it was great when I saw it, and now it's grown to be masterful. So from great to masterful, and that's a hard thing to achieve in my book. Few films rarely achieve masterful status in my pantheon of film watching. It just grows on me. Like, I discover something new about it, like whether it's some, like, subtle nod in the background or like a wink to the fans, or just, I mean, it just, like I said, just every time I rewatch it, I just discover new things and I just fall in love with it more and more and more. You said it best. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a fantastic movie. Definitely a big fan of it. But Alex, while we're on the topic of Spider-Man movies here, let me hear your top 3 Spider-Man movies.
Like I said, it would be hands down. Into the Spider-Verse would definitely be number 1. I liked Spider-Man 2, the one with Tobey Maguire, and it had the one with Doc Ock in it. And as for my number 3 is probably Amazing Spider-Man 1, just because I really like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. So those are my top 3. What about you, Sam?
I got to go with Spider-Man Homecoming number 1. I mean, just barely. I mean, like that and Into the Spider-Verse constantly fight for first place. But yeah, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse number two, and then yeah, number three is Spider-Man number two with Alfred Molina and Tobey Maguire. Although you're right, I mean, like once again, I could almost tie the first Amazing Spider-Man Andrew Garfield at number three too. I mean, that's just I think that film gets shit on more than it needs to, and that's actually like a really fun and great movie, and I enjoyed it, and I did not mind the skateboard scene in how he discovered his web swinging abilities. Like that really didn't bother me. I thought it was kind of a cool, fresh take on how to discover, your spider powers. So get over it. I liked it, and I'm not ashamed to say that I liked it.
And if you didn't like it, or if you did like it, just let us know down in the comments because we want to hear your top three Spider-Man movies.
Yes, and which characters were your favorite from Into the Spider Verse here, Alex?
I I liked a lot of the women that were in that movie. I really liked Spider Gwen. I think that's Haley Steinfeld that does the voice for her.
Believe so.
And
Yes.
I really liked the kind of gender bent Doc Ock that they had in his universe. I thought she was really cool. And then I also really liked Aunt May from Miles Morales' Spider Verse. I think I liked all three of them. I thought they were amazing. Not to take anything away from anybody else because they were all really good, really fantastic characters. But I think to me those three kind of really stood out with what they had to offer the film. What about you, Sam? Who was your? Do you have some favorite characters, or was it just one person that stood?
At first, I got to go with, of course, Miles Morales, Spider-Man. Just kind of how awkward he was around girls at that age, and him discovering his powers and everything. I can totally relate to trying to like talk to a girl in the hallway and just start, sweating bullets and like stuttering over your words and everything. Like I said, me and Miles had the same approach to trying to talk to girls in middle school and high school, and I feel you there, man. So yeah, definitely him. Spider Gwen for sure. Spider Gwen is also like one of my favorite, I guess, spider people out there, if you will. But yeah, I loved seeing her on the big screen. Spider Gwen was amazing and just fun to see her. And then Spider-Man Noir just kind of cracked me up. Just hearing Nicolas Cage voice a Spider-Man was hilarious and great. Those were the three that really stood out to me. Now, this trailer teased at least two new dimensions for Miles to visit, though they weren't shown in depth during the first look released. The first new location appears to take inspiration from India, which could be an indication of the universe belonging to the Spider-Man from Spider-Man India. From that universe, Oscar Isaac's Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man 2099, transports Miles to what appears to be O'Hara's own futuristic Nueva York. We are getting a lot of different alternate Spider-Man here. So, Alex, I got to ask you, who are some of your favorite alternate versions of Spider-Man?
I think I only really have one alternate. I mean, obviously, if we take some of the ones that we've seen so far out, Spider Gwen is obviously one of the first ones. I think that I was always a sucker for Ben Reilly. Like I loved his costume design with his he had his red costume with the light blue kind of cut off sleeves hoodie, and I always thought he was a really cool looking Spider-Man. So and his little didn't he have like, it was almost like Batman's utility belt, but it was in these little gauntlets that he
he had like little gauntlets. He shot like webs from, but they also held like alternate spider weapons for him to fight with.
Yeah, so he was his design I always felt was super cool when I was a kid, and I just never stopped liking him. So Ben Reilly definitely for me. Sam, do you have anybody that you love in the Spider-Verse?
Oh man, I got a couple. You know me, I always have like a top three. So first of all, yes, Spider-Man 2099, Miguel O'Hara. Love his costume. Love his whole backstory. I own like the first two like trade paperbacks. Like I think Marvel published three trade paperbacks of Spider-Man 2099, and I own two out of those three. Just huge fan of Miguel O'Hara's Spider-Man 2099. Like I said, love his costume, love his power set, love how he kind of became to be Spider-Man 2099. That's just all badass to me. Uh, Second would have to be Spider Gwen. Again, love the costume. Kind of like the flipped story there as to where Gwen gets bit by the spider, and Peter's kind of like her backup there to like help her out. And there is sort of a tragic story in which she learns, with great power comes great responsibility. But I won't spoil that for you here. But it's a really great twist in like the first couple of issues of Spider Gwen. And then I came to know this character from the Spider-Man video game, but I quickly, did some reading up on him, and he is one of my favorite Spider-Man. In fact, I have like a little figure on my desk at work of him, and that is Spider-Punk. Spider-Punk's costume is great. He has a
Yeah,
mohawk.
also a great costume design.
Yeah, he wears a blue jean vest with like pins from like different punk bands on it, and his one of his weapons includes an electric guitar, and he has what looks like a metal mohawk woven into his Spider-Man mask. I just love his look. That is definitely one of those are definitely my top three favorite alternate versions of Spider-Man. Now, it's unclear at this time how many universes will be featured in this movie. However, it was confirmed that a third Spider-Verse installment is already in development and slated for a 2023 release. Spider-Man
Yeah, can't
Across.
wait to see the first look at that coming out next
I
week.
know. I can't wait in 2 weeks for us to get the first look at that one. Excuse me. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 is currently set to arrive in theaters on October 7th, 2022. Wow, the day before my birthday. Well, I know what
Happy
I'm
birthday,
doing.
Sam.
Thank you. I know what I'm doing for my birthday weekend. Way far out there in the future, I'm going to go see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1.
Absolutely. Get your tickets now.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, you know what I'm going to do, Alex? I'm going to go to my local theater and I'm going to pitch a tent. I'm going to start camping out. I'm going to give my 2 weeks notice at work, and I'm going to put on my Spider-Man pajamas that don't fit me anymore, and I'm just going to camp out and just wait for Spider-Man.
That sounds like
Oh,
a very adult plan.
yes, I know. It's so logical and smart. All right, folks, jumping from the Spider-Verse over to Dark Horse. Dark Horse Comics is reportedly looking to sell. That's right. Dark Horse Comics is looking to cash in on Hollywood's recent push to purchase creative companies and are reportedly poised to make a major Hollywood sale of their subsidiary Dark Horse Entertainment. With similar successes of production companies like Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and Amazon Prime, Dark Horse wants to put some of its most popular properties on the market. All right, Alex, do you like Dark Horse Comics? Did you grow up reading any Dark Horse titles?
I mean, I definitely grew up reading some Hellboy because I really love the art style from Mike Magnola. He was like one of my favorite artists growing up. I liked Ghost because of Adam Hughes, who is my favorite artist of all time. And then there, like Dark Horse was always kind of there in the background because when I was growing up, of course, when I was smaller, when I was like in elementary school and everything, it was all about Marvel comics. The X-Men. I wasn't even really that big of a fan of the Avengers, but I loved Spider-Man. I loved the Incredible Hulk. And then as I got older, this brand new company came out, and they were Image Comics, and they were edgy, and the art was really slick, and the stories were a lot gorier, and they dealt with a lot more adult themes. And so I started to read Image Comics very heavily, and Dark Horse was just kind of always there, and I never really got into them too much. But I definitely would read the Alien comics because those were kind of, when I was a little kid, those were kind of the taboo comics where it was like, oh, these are way too violent, you can't buy them. But I could always walk into the bookstore like, wow, way to date myself there. Back in my day, we had these stores that were full of books, you see, and they had puzzles, and sometimes they'd even sell you a nice coffee. But so I would just walk in and I would pick up, an Alien or a Predator comic book or an Alien versus Predator comic book, and I would kind of read through it because those were full of like a ton of violence and everything that was just it would satiate my young twisted mind, and so that's kind of my experience with Dark Horse comics. But what about you, Sam? Did you grow up reading any of these titles?
I did not grow up reading a ton of Dark Horse. Like you, I would either go to my local Borders Books, which is now extinct, or I would go to my local comic book store, um, and I would see Dark Horse. But I always kind of gravitated more toward the Marvel DC side of things. Now that being said, um, a few Dark Horse titles did grab my attention growing up. They were the sole publisher of Star Wars comics there for a while, and
That's right.
they did some great runs, and just I know they may not be canon now, but they did some great Star Wars comics, and I read those. And then one time I was just combing through the shelves and I saw The Mask, and I'd already seen the Jim Carrey movie, and I thought, okay, cool, wow, this is going to be like the Jim Carrey comics. Oh boy. Oh boy, was I ever wrong.
Yeah.
Wow. That was one of those like, eye-opening experiences, like when you're 12 and like you find your first Playboy and you flip open like the centerfold and like your world's just not quite the same, man. Let me tell you, I flipped open The Mask and like he was crying tears of blood as he was violently drowning a man in a toilet and laughing at, like laughing his head off. Or I believe he took another man's head and like literally smashed a man's head flat using the toilet seat. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I walked away, kind of like really white in the face and shaken after reading my first Mask comic book. So I walked away for 10 minutes and then I was like, actually, it's kind of badass. And I went back and kept reading more. So yeah, so I would say Star Wars and The Mask. It wasn't until like Hellboy came out that I kind of got pulled back into the Dark Horse universe. Definitely a big fan of, like you said, Mike Mignola's Hellboy, and read that. And I also read Frank Miller's Sin City, which I didn't know was published by Dark Horse at the time. Uh, and I guess another thing as a kid that like I did read, but once again just didn't know it was published by Dark Horse. I used to read the Alien versus Predator comics. I thought those were pretty cool. And any RoboCop comic I could get my hand on, I used to read those as well. So like a lot of their movie properties that they were producing comic books, I definitely read. I didn't quite read any of like the standalone titles for Dark Horse until I was much older. Not that I'm really old right now, folks. But yeah, definitely got into like I said, Sin City and Hellboy more into my adult years. So, do you have any preferences as to which streaming services you would like to see pick up Dark Horse Entertainment? Like, where would their titles best be produced, Alex?
Um, I think I think Netflix has got to do something, man. They lost all those Marvel properties, and so they're kind of they tried, what was it, Jupiter Rising,
Yeah,
something
Jupiter
like that,
Ascending
right?
or Jupiter Rising. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Netflix inked a deal for Mark Millar's entire like catalog, and like their first one out of the gate, Jupiter Rising or Jupiter Ascending, didn't quite go so well for them. They've already canceled that one.
Yeah, yeah, sadly. And also I heard sadly that they canceled Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, I was sad to
That's
hear about it. I hadn't had a chance to watch it yet, just because like my queue was so backed up. But I mean, it was on there, and I was hoping for at least a 2 season run on that show.
Well, hopefully maybe that's one of those things where it's cuz I'm like you, that was one of those ones where I was like, "Oh, let me go ahead and put that in my list." And when I get around to it, I'll get around to it, but it's just kind of right now, like you said, everything is kind of dogpiling on. Um and so hopefully that's one of the ones where Netflix will kind of notice the traffic picking up here in the next couple of months, and they'll go ahead and greenlight a second season at least for it, because it looked really good. But I mean, to get back to what you were saying, I think that yes, Netflix is probably due for a W right now. They need to pick up any kind of major creative company that they can, and just kind of just not necessarily make everything, but I mean Dark Horse does have a lot of. I mean, could you imagine a mask show or cartoon that does go the kind of more adult and more
I would actually
mature
love to
route?
see that. Yeah, man. Like the full on yeah, the mask really bashing people's brains and like really running them down in the car. I mean, don't get me wrong, he was still killing people in comical ways. It was just there wasn't any holding back. Like they didn't cut away in the comic books. Yeah, if he strapped dynamite to your nuts got blown off, man. Let me tell you, But yeah, no, seeing an actual mass show that would be that would be really dark, but really awesome to see.
I'm telling you, or like if they were able to, they could do the some kind of alien colonial marine type of
That would be
episodic
badass.
show.
Yeah.
It's out there, and Dark Horse. If you actually go to their Wikipedia page and you look at their comic book titles, it's just like probably like 1,000 things that you can choose from. And so one of these studios definitely can hook a big one if they manage to sign or purchase Dark Horse Entertainment. But Sam, do you have a kind of preference when it comes to which streaming service would kind of pick up something like this?
Like you, I'm in agreement again. I think either Netflix should, because yes, Netflix needs a W. They've scored some really great stuff. They got The Witcher pretty right, So I mean, kudos to that. And then, yeah, they've kind of stumbled out of the gate, with Jupiter Ascending or Rising and Cowboy Bebop. But Netflix has shown in the past that yes, they can do amazing shows, especially with those trio of Marvel shows being Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Daredevil. In fact, heck, I started rewatching Daredevil this week, just because I found out Charlie Cox was and is coming back to play Daredevil. I'm so excited
Here
and
we
so
go.
happy. Oh my gosh, yeah, she's coming back. Sorry, jumping back to Dark Horse. So yeah, I would say Netflix, or I would say Amazon Prime with their success with The Boys and Invincible. You know, Amazon Prime has shown, hey, we're not afraid to do, dark, gory, hard hitting, comic book shows with, kind of like a morose or macabre sense of humor to them. And that does fit Dark Horse style very well. So I would say either Netflix or Amazon Prime should probably have first crack at Dark Horse's streaming or Dark Horse's properties. Do you think it's wise though for a creative company to tie themselves to one certain production company, Alex?
I mean, I would. I just go ahead and sell the whole lot, cash in. You've spent all this. They've got. I mean, ever since I was a kid, so at least like 3 decades worth of material and hard work and blood and sweat and tears, and times when you've cried, times when you didn't know if you were going to be able to keep the lights on, and times where you've laughed and times where you've had a lot of fun. And I just feel like it's time to kind of you spent all that time, you put in all this work into this baby, and now you just kind of hand it over to someone who can take it to the next level. And so that's what I would just sell it all as a big package, man. Get as much money as you can, then you just let them do the work for you rather than trying to piece it out, and then you end up kind of then what happens when you do end up wanting to sell as a whole. So that's what I would do. You might think different, Sam. What do you think?
No, I'm in total agreement with Disney becoming synonymous with Marvel and Marvel becoming synonymous with Disney, and with like when you think of like Invincible and The Boys, you think of Amazon Prime. When you think of The Walking Dead, you think AMC. So no, man, yeah, sell it all off, to a good company, a company that gives you the best pitch and thinks, that is really gonna bring your titles to life with the best production quality and value, and is really gonna put, like the full weight of their streaming company and its resources behind your product. Don't go, willy nilly just selling it off to whoever. Um, But yeah, definitely consider, like I said, consider Netflix, consider Amazon Prime, and yeah, sell it all off and keep producing awesome Dark Horse comics. Dark Horse Comics has acquired the rights to make comic book adaptations of many popular films and series such as Aliens, Predator, Robocop, The Thing, and Avatar The Last Airbender. Dark Horse's production studio arm Dark Horse Entertainment is responsible for producing films and television shows based on Dark Horse comics and already has many highly acclaimed projects on the big and small screen. Now, while DC and Marvel usually hog all the spotlight when it comes to major comic book production houses, Dark Horse has consistently produced cult classics over the year. What are some of your, or what is your favorite Dark Horse Entertainment film and show, Alex?
Oh man, I think going through this list that we have here of the Dark Horse kind of entertainment properties, I would have to say, oh man, this is gonna be kind of a little weird here, but I would say Duckman. I guess that animated series from
Oh
back in the
my,
day.
yes!
Like that was that. I think it was who was it? Jason, the guy who plays George in Seinfeld. It's gonna bug me. It's Jason Alexander. There it is.
Yes.
And I think Tim Curry was also in it. He played like Duckman's nemesis in it, and that while it was a very strange show, but it kept my attention as a kid. And you're talking about I was probably like 10, 11, 12, 13, like kind of in that area. So it was really my first introduction into like a more adult kind of cartoon show, and I think that it really kind of paved the way for some of the ones that we got today. So, but what about you, Sam? Do you have a favorite Dark Horse Entertainment kind of title?
I mean, I totally agree with you, man. Coming out of left field there, but yeah, I gotta say, Duck, man. Like, I remember it coming on Comedy Central, like when I was in the sixth and seventh grade, and like, I wasn't quite sure of its humor, but it always made me laugh, and like, I just thought, like, what is this weird show? Like what is this show about a duck? A duck man and his family. But yeah, bring back Duckman. That was hilarious. And then, my gosh, I mean, they have so many amazing movies that I didn't even realize were tied to them. But let's start with
Yeah.
Time Cop, man. Like, that's one of my all time favorite Jean Claude Van Damme films. Love Time Cop.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and then Hellboy and Sin City and 300. Hell yes to all of those, man. Those were all fantastic movies. Um,
And not to leave out the mask because
oh, yeah,
that's
the
like
Masks. Sorry. And 30 Days
that's
of
kind of where
Night.
we got our first. Oh yeah, there's so many when you actually
Yes.
look at the list and you're just kind of like, wow, Well, I mean, you read it off and you read it perfectly. Dark Horse has produced a lot of these cult classics over the years, and these are movies that I still will pop on to this day.
Oh yeah, when I do Sam's 31 Days of Horror, man, I mean 30 Days of Night always makes that list under my vampire section there, and like I said, fucking love Hellboy, Sin City blew me away, and 300. I mean, like I had goosebumps watching 300, man. Like that was just all amazing movies. But yeah, especially yeah, I definitely have a soft spot for Ron Perlman's Hellboy. He owned that role, and he was so great in it. And yeah, like I said, just great stuff to come out of Dark Horse. Now, last question here. Just kind of wrapping this up. If you were allowed to greenlight a Dark Horse production, who would get your money, or like what would you like to, what Dark Horse project would you like to see on the big or small screen, Alex? Or give me an answer for
Man,
both.
there's so many. It's kind of difficult to. I okay. So if I'm pitching something, we're in an elevator, and I got to pitch something to you. I would probably be like, honestly, I would want to see the Alien Space Marine show.
Okay.
I feel like that in an episodic show, you could definitely carry that at least 2 seasons before you got to kind of jazz it up. Um, that whole it'd be kind of like survival horror but set in space, and not with zombies but with like fast moving aliens that will kill you, and just to make it super mature and violent and bloody and gory and all that stuff. I think you could definitely strike gold with that one. But if and I'm kind of cheating here, but I would say my hope, the one that I would love for them to be actually greenlight, would be something to do with The Thing, because it's just such an amazing movie. I know you really like it.
It's my all-time favorite horror movie, man.
Yeah, and I don't know how they would do it if they could turn it into some kind of a show. I would, that's something that I would definitely watch. Like, we're talking like premiere day. I would be checking it on that. But yeah, those would be mine. My wish list for sure. Well, what do you have on your wish list, Sam?
All right, so if I got to pitch you, if I'm stuck in an elevator with Dark Horse executives and they're like, go, all right, for TV, I'm telling you, man, bring back Duckman. Duckman's sense of humor would work so well in today's world. It would be even more funnier today to have Duckman walking around. Another TV show, like we talked about earlier, give me that gorier, darker, more comic book accurate version of The Mask, man. Yes, that would sell. That would work. If we're talking movies here, let me pitch you. There needs to be another Time Cop. Remake Time Cop, but go get like a Jason Statham to like go do.
Oh man.
Yeah, go get Jason Statham to go do.
Jason Steinfeld.
Yes, to go do Time Cop.
On the Time Cop.
Man. Oh my gosh! Or go get Oded Fur to go do Time Cop, man.
Oh, see, now you're talking. Now you're a man after my own
Alex
heart.
and I would be front row center to go see Time Cop with Oded Fur in there. If I'm pitching a movie, go begging to Ron Perlman's door to go get Guillermo del Toro to finish up what should have been the original Hellboy trilogy. Please give us that third Hellboy movie there. And then I guess just bring on more Sin City if you could, man. Like, those would be like my top 3 movies and my top 2 TV shows that I would be pitching. Or bring back Mystery Men too. Heck, I didn't realize that was a Dark Horse project. I loved Mystery Men. Yeah, bring that one back too while you're at it. That is such an underrated and hilarious cult classic there. Or even better yet, go get Scott Adkins to be in your Time Cop movie. Scott Adkins is a premier martial artist action movie star who doesn't get enough A-list roles, if you ask me. Scott Adkins should be your Time Cop there. Boom. Go get it done, Dark Horse. I just sold you a multi-million-dollar deal for free there. Alex and I should get producing credits, That's all I'm going to say.
That's right. Money Machine go burn.
Yeah. Or at least give us executive producer credits, Dark Horse, because I mean we just mapped out a whole money-making plan for you right there. All right, folks, moving from Dark Horse back to Marvel, we are here to talk about Hawkeye. So, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the first episode of Hawkeye, excuse me there, folks, pause the podcast here. Go use your logon. Don't steal somebody's logon. We have turned over a new leaf here at My Comic Life. A less thieving leaf here at My Comic Life. Yeah, purchase a membership, or use your logon. Watch the first episode of Hawkeye, and then come back here. We're gonna give you that famous My Comic Life 4 countdown before we begin. So we're gonna go in 4, 3, 2, 1. You are spoiled, folks. Hawkeye is here and dropped a double episode for fans to indulge on November 24th in time for the long holiday weekend. Lucky for you all, that means that you will have an extra week to get caught up before we cover the show with our My Comic Life episodic formula. This week, we will be covering the first episode titled Never Meet Your Heroes. In 2012, during the Battle of New York, a young Kate Bishop watches Clint Barton battle the Chitauri and aspires to become a hero like him after he inadvertently saves her life. In the present day, Barton spends time with his children in New York for Christmas. Bishop attends a charity auction gala with her mother Eleanor and learns that she is engaged to Jack Duquesne. Underneath the gala, she stumbles on a black market auction featuring items recovered from the remains of the Avengers compound. The auction is interrupted by the Tracksuit Mafia, a Russian street gang which attempts to recover a watch among the items. Bishop recovers Barton's Ronin suit and defeats the Tracksuit Mafia members while wearing it. She escapes to her apartment after rescuing a stray dog and tracks down Armin to investigate further. Bishop discovers that Armin has been murdered in his home and is cornered by the Tracksuit Mafia members after fleeing the crime scene. Barton, who saw a news report of the Ronin's return, rescues Bishop from the gangsters. All right, all that aside, I got to ask you first question here. Alex, would you watch a full-length Rogers musical?
Oh, I'm talking day one, front row, like big Captain America shirt on, like singing word for word. 100% I would watch a full length Rogers musical. It looked like it was a blast. I thought it was really funny, and it was kind of not necessarily making fun of, but kind of paying homage to Hamilton, which is phenomenal, by the way. If any of you ever get a chance to go see that, I definitely suggest you go watch it. It was amazing, and Lin Manuel is an American treasure. I would love it if they, because Disney, I believe, has him on the payroll. He did a lot of the songs for Moana, and I know he did a lot of the songs for Encanto, the new one that just came out not too long ago. Uh, if they got him attached to it somehow and actually put out a kind of like not necessarily a joke, but kind of like a little side piece to Hawkeye, where they released this like a little, I don't know, 20-minute kind of Rogers musical that people could enjoy and just drop it on everybody on Thanksgiving. I think that would 100% that would be the talk of basically of that holiday weekend. It would be, did you see Rogers? Oh, it's great. I can't believe that, they actually did it. So 100% I would watch a full-length Rogers musical. Sam, I posed the same question to you, sir. Are you going to be sitting there watching, or are you going to be kind of nitpicking the same way Clint Barton was?
The musical was a little cheesy for me, but I liked it. It made me laugh. It made me smile. Yes, I would watch a full-length Rogers musical, especially if like Disney Plus was just like, hey, here, wow, there goes my twang for you folks. Here, like just a little fun side project, that we're doing like in between our Marvel and Star Wars shows. Here's Rogers, the full musical. Yeah, I would definitely be there, sitting beside you, with my Thor or Iron Man shirt on. I might even be dancing in the aisles a little bit. That was, like I said, well, it was a little cheesy. It was just a lot of fun too, and I had a really big grin on my face. So yes, I enjoyed Rogers the musical and would definitely like to see a full length production. How many times did the tracksuit mafias say bro?
Oh man, it's too many.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that much. It got to a point where it was like, all right, they said,
I'm
"Bro,
about to
time to
say.
take a shot," and by the end, I was just, yeah, it was. It's gonna turn into its own like little drinking game. I don't know if they keep doing that. Like I said, we're only covering the first episode, and I don't know if they're gonna keep going with kind of referring to each other and to everybody else's bro. That's kind of weird. But I don't know if that's something that is in the comics. That would be kind of cool to find out. If I was like, if this whole time I'm just shitting on them, for saying like they say bro too much or whatever, and then someone's actually like, well, in the comments, like actually, in the comic books, that's kind of their thing, is that they just say bro a lot, and that would be a learning moment for me, and I would actually try to come to appreciate something like that. So I'm definitely gonna do some research to make sure that I'm not sticking my foot in my mouth. But if I had to put a figure on it, I'd probably say in the first episode they said "bro" like 8 times. What about you, Sam? How many times
Okay,
do you think
whoa,
they said "bro"?
bro, you just read my mind, bro. Bro, I was totally gonna say, bro, that we should have that everyone should take a shot every time the Tracksuit Mafia says, bro. Bro, I can't believe we just.
It was like a
Yes, I can't
frat
believe we
house,
just
man.
broed out like that, man. Sorry, I'll stop saying bro so much. But yeah, uh, I don't know if that's a thing from the comics and it was like a wink and nod to the fans. And if it is, feel free to comment on our YouTube or Facebook page and let us know that yes, that was. But yeah, needless to say, I was broed out by the end of this episode.
Oh man, I was ready to bro down.
You were gonna go bro Gronkowski on him, sack him to the ground,
Totally, man.
knock him down. Um, what did you think of Haley Steinfeld's first foray into the MCU?
I mean, if like you said earlier, she was Spider Gwen, so it's not like if you want to get into it technically, but I don't really want to. So I will say for her first foray into the MCU, I felt like she did a phenomenal job. Uh, I almost want to say like one episode in that this one takes the cream of the crop. This is my new favorite Disney Plus Marvel show, just because of like her kind of facial expressions and the way that she plays Kate Bishop is like damn near perfect. And um, I thought that she does a good job. Kind of her origin story was really kind of engaging and enthralling to see how see the whole Chitari War through the eyes of a child that was living and had everything and thought that her life was perfect, and then all of a sudden you see how much it can change in just a very short period of time, and what a normal person, a man using a medieval weaponry can how that person can save a life and affect somebody so much that they just kind of um, spend the rest of their life trying to live up to a hero like that. So I really liked Haley Steinfeld. She did a great job. Her the action was there. She was believable as kind of this martial arts expert, weapons expert. It was all there for me, and I very much enjoyed it. But did you welcome her with open arms, or is this one of those hashtag not my Kate Bishop situations
Oh
for
no,
you,
this
Sam?
is hashtag definitely my Kate Bishop. I've always been a huge fan of Haley Steinfeld's work, from True Grit to Transformers to now. She's a great actress. I think she, definitely captured the mischievous side of Kate Bishop well. I think that really rang true. Da dun ching. Sorry. That really rang true in the opening, like when you see her shooting the clock tower bell, um, with her arrow, and like when she follows her would-be stepfather down to the black auction, and even the recklessness of youth when she throws on the Ronin suit and starts fighting the tracksuit mafia in it. Yeah, no, she does a phenomenal job. Looking forward to seeing more and more of her in this show. Overall, what did you think of this week's episode, Alex?
I probably give this one a solid 8, only because I kind of like uh, my introductions to be like, this is your bad guy, this is your good guy, and um, to this, you know, in this episode we kind of don't know who the bad guy is. I kind of have my predictions, but I'm not sure. So I think it's like Jack Duquesne is somehow going to be the main bad guy, but to this to this point I still don't even know. And that's something that kind of bugs me with this first episode. Not a ton of action except for at the very end there, but I thought it was it was a solid episode nonetheless. So I like I said, I'll give it about an 8. What did you think of this week's
Definitely
episode, Sam?
agree with you there. Just a solid 8. A fun introduction into this universe and what the show's going to be about. I was a little surprised to see Clinton Barton wearing a hearing aid. Like, I wonder where he picked that up from. Like, I didn't think his hearing was shot or that bad. Maybe after the the battle with Thanos, something happened. Seeing him dealing with,
Oh yeah, he did. You know, Thanos did drop an
yeah,
Avengers compound on
and
him.
just seeing him still having some PTSD over Nat's death, that really got to me as well. And seeing how watching the musical was hard for him, and how during one scene he gets a dinner comped and he doesn't feel like he deserves to have that meal comped, but the waiter's like, you've saved our city, your meals on this. Just seeing all that, just those extra added bits, um, really helps me relate to Barton better. Not that I wasn't relating to him well before, but really also humanizes him for me. So yeah, definitely think this is going to be a great show, and I can't wait to see where it goes. Any final thoughts on this week's episode of Hawkeye, Alex?
Oh man, I think you kind of wrapped it up really nicely. I do really like that they kind of gave him these little bunch of little human. They kind of remind you that he is human. You know, he's not one of these gods, and he's not one of these super soldiers. He's just a man with hearing, a man with
Hearing, yeah,
eardrums that rupture very easily, and the you get to see kind of the very human and very realistic consequences from living in this superhero life. And I'm sure there are a lot of regular people that aren't expert archers and trained assassins in the real world today who have been had their hearing taken away from them during during their job. And it's kind of one of those kind of humbling and kind of almost jolting like like a moment of reality that they put into the show. And I thought that was really really cool, and I'd like to see how they kind of play around with that within this show.
awesome, sir. Well, hey, this wraps up another great episode of My Comic Life. We so appreciate everyone who listens and gives us all the feedback. In fact, it's time to shout out our My Comic Life fan of the week, or salute to our My Comic Life fan of the week. Our My Comic Life fan of the week is Kayla Kreger from Sherman, Texas. Kayla, you are our My Comic Life fan of the week. Thank you for liking our Facebook page, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and commenting on our shows. We appreciate your feedback. Again, Kayla, you are our My Comic Life fan of the week. Salute to you.
Salute to you, Kayla. Please, drop your Addy down in the description. We'll be sure to fire off some of Sam's grandma's famous stuff in your way.
And we'll send you some of Alex's famous macaroni and cheese as well. Hey, folks, if you want to be our My Comic Life fan of the week, it's real simple. Just like our Facebook page and drop a comment there, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are finally over the hump of 13. We got past that unlucky number of 13. We are up to, I believe, 17 subscribers and edging ever closer to 20. So get your friends, get your coworkers, get your boss, get whoever just to click that subscribe button on our YouTube channel. It really does mean a lot to us, and it helps grow the show. And speaking of, if you have any ideas for the show, if you want to hear us talk more video games, if you want to hear Alex and I debate hot topics about Star Wars, Star Trek, or Dark Horse Comics, email us at realmycomiclife@gmail.com. Again, it's all one word, no spaces. That email is realmycomiclife@gmail.com. And again, apologies to Kevin Smith, man. We just ran out of time. We wanted to have you on. We wanted to hear about your Thanksgiving. Damn it. Sorry, man. Next week we will have you on, and you can tell us your favorite Thanksgiving dish at your house. Again, Kevin Smith, sorry, just ran out of time. But hey, folks, like I said, this wraps up another great episode of My Comic Life. So as always, ditch the herd, be a nerd, stay strong out there, my friends.